We move through public places without thinking. Crowded stations, quiet corridors, waiting rooms, offices, streets. Places meant for people, built for routine, filled with noise and light. But when the last person leaves, something stays. It's strange, isn't it? How the air can change when a place is empty. How silence feels heavier in spaces meant to be loud. Maybe that stillness isn't silence at all. Maybe it's memory. Public places absorb everything. Footsteps, laughter, arguments, fear. Thousands of lives pass through, and somewhere between the echoes and the walls, something takes root. So the next time you find yourself alone in these public places, stop and listen. You might not see anyone there, but that doesn't mean you're alone. In a place built for justice, something else lingers, unseen, uninvited, unwilling to leave. Across Ohio's courthouses, people whisper of things that move when no one's around, of voices that rise in empty halls, and footsteps that echo long after the last case is closed. Take the Preble County Courthouse in Eaton, standing proud since 1918. During the day, it's filled with footsteps and voices, but after dark, the halls echo with the sound of people who aren't there. One employee swore she heard a crowd, laughter, voices, coming from the second floor. When she opened the door, the hall was empty. Others claimed to hear heavy boots pacing along the fourth floor, the one that used to be the old jail. Deputy Christian Fugit once thought someone was trying to break in after hours. He heard the locked front doors rattle 3 times, but he checked. No one was there. No wind, no footsteps, just silence. Inside the treasurer's office, blinds once rattled as if invisible fingers were brushing across them. Fast, playful, almost childlike. Even after the blinds were removed, the sound never stopped. Some employees laugh and call them the courthouse gremlins, but not everyone finds it funny. In Miami County, one judge's secretary saw a man in red suspenders appear beside her desk and vanish. For years, the clerk's office was plagued with small disturbances, pens leaping from holders, papers sliding off desks, chairs scraping in empty rooms. One worker swore a paperclip flew across the room and hit her in the head. Betty Wethy, who worked there for over 20 years, saw more than just pranks. Late one night, she saw a black mist forming in the corner of her office. It crept toward her, thick and silent. She said the hair on her neck stood up before she ran, leaving everything behind. She never stayed after dark again. And in Wayne County, people still talk about the lady in pink. They say she walks the halls where a murder once happened, inside the courtroom itself. One night, Court Administrator James Fox saw her, not with his eyes, but on the security monitor. A faint figure, glowing pink, gliding down the hall. When he looked up, the hall was empty, but the camera still showed her standing there. Others claim to see her reflection near the courtroom door. Some say it's dust, others light. But those who felt the temperature drop around them believe otherwise. Even cleaning crews have quit after seeing carts move on their own. And the freight elevator, the one that needs a key, opening all by itself at 1 a.m. Whether it's imagination, old wiring, or something else entirely, the courthouses of Ohio seem to hold more than legal history. Judge Mark Wiest, a skeptic, once joked that if he ever met the lady in pink, he'd run like hell, because even the ones who don't believe Don't take chances in a haunted courthouse. Maybe that's why these places never truly rest, because for generations these walls have watched judgment fall, seen men condemned, lives broken, and justice dealt with trembling hands. In Wayne County, death came right inside the courtroom, and in the others, it was decided there. Perhaps that's what still lingers, not the bodies, but the weight of every verdict, every sentence, every moment a life was changed forever. They call it Goatman's Bridge, but its real name is the old Alton Bridge, tucked between Denton and Copper Canyon, Texas. Built in 1884, it once carried weary wagons and later cars across Hickory Creek. Now, after dark, it carries something else entirely. Legend says there was once a goat farmer named Oscar Washburn, known locally as the Goatman. He sold milk, hides, and cheese to the locals, and even hung a sign on the bridge, "This way to the Goatman." He lived peacefully with his family, and for a time, the little community accepted him. But this was Texas in the early 1900s. Oscar was African American, and his success stirred hatred among the wrong men, the Ku Klux Klan. One night, they came for him, dragged him to the bridge, fit a noose around his neck, and threw him over the edge. When they leaned over to check the body, only the rope remained. His body was gone. Panic turned to rage. They ran to his house, expecting to find him hiding, but Oscar wasn't there. Only his family, his wife and children. They set the home on fire, burning everything to the ground, killing them all. Since then, the bridge has borne his curse. They say if you cross it at midnight with your headlights off and knock 3 times on the truss, you will feel something waiting for you on the other side. Red eyes in the darkness, hoofbeats echoing where there are no hooves, a shape, half man, half goat, blocking your path. Others report growls, strange lights in the trees, even cars locking and unlocking themselves, as though touched by unseen hands. And if you call out, "Goatman, Goatman, are you there?" something always answers. But here's what most people get wrong. Oscar Washburn is not the monster. He was the victim. Those who knew him said he was kind, and some believe his spirit still lingers near the bridge, not in rage, but in sorrow. Some believe it's Oscar's spirit, still searching for the family he lost. The thing that haunts the bridge isn't him. It's what came after, something darker and demonic, a presence born from hate, feeding on the violence that spilled that night. Where hate lives long enough, it becomes something else. And that's what took the Goatman's name. For most people, the legend is just that, a story told in whispers and campfire smoke. But for some, it follows them home. Jen was 24 when she went there. She and her boyfriend had heard the stories and wanted to see it for themselves. They walked the bridge, hiked the trails, and found the altar. Graffiti, pentagrams, dried stains, symbols no one could read. Her father felt a light tap on his back, nothing more. They laughed, took pictures, and left. But as soon as Jen sat in the car, she felt sick, a sudden, violent nausea that clawed at her stomach. She thought it would pass. It didn't. When she got home and looked in the mirror, she didn't recognize herself. The eyes looking back weren't hers. She said she saw hate staring through her reflection, like something was using her body to see. Her boyfriend told her she spoke in another voice, that she said she wasn't Jen, that her dog wouldn't come near her. She felt violent, detached, as if something inside her was aching to lash out, waiting for a chance to strike. The next day, she felt normal, almost. But the nausea never left, and when she looked at the photos from that night, each one had a red dot glowing somewhere in the frame. In Evansville, Indiana, stands a library that was never meant to be haunted. Built in 1885, the Willard Public Library was a gift, a monument to knowledge, carved in Gothic stone and quiet pride. But what lingers inside isn't just wisdom. They call her the Gray Lady. The legend begins with the man who built it, Willard Carpenter. He left his fortune to the library, not to his family. His daughter, Louise Carpenter, felt betrayed. She sued, lost, and faded into bitterness. And not long after, the ghost appeared. The first sighting came in the 1930s. A custodian, working alone in the basement, saw a woman in a long gray dress. She didn't move, didn't speak. When he blinked, she vanished. He never came back to work. Since then, the stories have never stopped. Librarians and visitors alike have felt a cold tap on the shoulder, turning around to find no one there. Chairs slide across the floor when no one's sitting in them. Breath brushes the back of the neck, soft and icy, sometimes followed by the faintest trace of lavender perfume. Books fall from shelves without reason. Locks turn by themselves. And sometimes, when the lights flicker, you'll see a woman's reflection standing behind you, just long enough to know she's real. Police once reported seeing two pale shapes in the upstairs window while the building was locked and empty. Staff still talk about the night the security camera caught a door opening and closing on its own, long after everyone had left. The alarm had been set, the doors sealed, and yet something unseen still moved inside. Every October, the library opens its doors for the Gray Lady Ghost Tour. People walk through the dim aisles with flashlights in their hands. Some come away laughing, others leave pale, swearing they felt her hand on their shoulder or heard her sigh in the dark. The brave ones check the library's ghost cams later that night, watching the stairwells and reading rooms for a flicker of movement that shouldn't be there. No one knows who the Gray Lady truly is. Maybe she's Louise Carpenter, still bound to the place her father left her out of. Maybe she's a librarian who refused to abandon her post. Or maybe she's something older, a ghost born from the sorrow that's soaked into these walls. Those who've locked up the building after midnight say the same thing. When the lights go out, something wakes. The air feels occupied. And in that silence, you realize the library isn't empty. Maybe it's just the echo of time. Or maybe every public space holds onto a piece of the people who pass through. A trace, a shadow, a heartbeat. And when the night is deep enough, those traces reach back. So the next time you find yourself alone in these public places, stop and listen. You might not see anyone there, but that doesn't mean you're alone. Subscribe for more chilling stories, folktales, and urban legends from around the world.